Not for very long periods of time, though, especially when I have people wanting me to say something. So there's a bunch of people that are not here right now. Oh, here comes one more. Let's see what we got going here. Okay, so there's a lot going on in the world. There's soon to be a lot less going on in some ways, and the things are starting to reopen. At least my part of the woods, and I hear a lot of people are more scared than when things were closed in certain ways because they're uncertain. And a lot of what creates fear in people is this level of uncertainty. So, you know, by nature, we want to be certain about things. We want to be sure, but there's really not too much to be sure of at any time. But especially now, the one thing that we can do is we can be, present. We can be aware, pay attention to what's going on in the world, pay attention to what's going on in your world, and to be as proactive as possible so that you're making it happen in a way that you at least have some aspect of being able to predict it, right? Because if you're creating it, if you're participating in it, if you're part of what's making things happen in your world, then you can be certain of what you're creating at least. It might not have a level of certainty of how it's going to go over with other people, but you can adjust it, you can shape it, you can take everything that people give you as feedback. So if you're putting something out into the world and people are reacting positively to it, keep going with it. If you're putting stuff out into the world and people are reacting negatively to it, then pull it back or readjust it or reevaluate it or put it out to different people. So this is really where we have a level of control. It's not about controlling anyone else, but it's about control of ourselves so that we can project the message that we want to the rest of the world. So a lot of people look out and they say, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And, our first reaction in anything is not really to react, it's to judge. So what are we judging? Well, in reality, there's only one thing that we can judge. And fortunately or unfortunately, that which we are judging is ourselves, right? So, and we're way too freaking hard on ourselves. I know a lot of people, they're high achievers, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that, and they're operating at 110%, and if they drop down to 108%, they feel like they're failing. So, kudos to the people that are out there achieving stuff. That's great. Be easy on yourself. Stay present, stay mindful, and pay attention to what you are doing. So here's the thing. The people in this group, most of you have been coming here for a while. You've heard me talk. A lot of you are involved in other groups with very positive attitudes, and you've already got a good mindset. So here's your responsibility. And this is really the title of this class is Be the Example, right? So if you don't like what you're seeing in the world around you because you're judging it, again, we're really judging ourselves. So the only way to affect it is to be the example of how you want to be in the world and how you want the world around you to look. If you set the example, then you give other people a standard to live up to, right? And it's your world, your standard, and you can set it as high as you want and have the expectation that people will live into it. Set a good, positive, resourceful example and expect people to live into it up to that standard. I remember as a kid growing up, my parents would tell us to clean up a certain part of the house. And we didn't necessarily do it. But every single time that my dad would grab a broom and a garbage bag and whatever to start dusting and sweeping and cleaning up and moving stuff around, it inspired all of us kids to jump in and help And, he worked hard, he worked a lot of hours. And for him to do that set the example for us that we had no excuse and that we should do it, and respect for him to help him out. But more importantly, what he was doing was setting the example. When I had a cabinet shop, I was in the front office most of the time. And when I had 10 guys working for me, they thought I didn't know how to cut a piece of wood or do anything. So every once in a while, I'd go into the shop, I'd cut a piece of wood, I'd sweep the floor in the shop. And, just to show that, there's no task that's too good for anyone in the shop. And there's no one who's too good for any task in the shop. So, this is how we affect the world around us. A lot of people are stressed. You're here for meditation tonight. You're going to be nice and relaxed. Take that relaxation and bring it out into the world. I got feedback from Ed the other day, that he was, using this, and it was helping him to stay more calm and relaxed. And that was affecting, all of his relationships. So when you stay present, and you stay aware right here, right now, enjoying the gift of the present moment, and you're able to do that, a lot of people are not. So sometimes we take it for granted. You have amazing skills and abilities, and it's important because maybe no one else will share it with that particular person that you can share it with. And you don't even have to do anything spectacular other than live it. Be the example. When a bunch of people are hanging around, judging and, talking bad of other people, and, maybe not necessarily jealous, but they're not saying the nicest things about someone else, it's your opportunity to step up and say, hey, let's talk nice about people, or let's not talk about them, because any judgment that we're making is really about ourselves. So, if you don't want people to think that of you, then maybe you can quiet it down a little bit. So, this is just me. This is how I am. I don't like to see people acting in a way that's less than their most resourceful self. And, and I guess that's a judgment on my part. So, but I'll phrase it to people in a way that they might consider it. They might investigate the possibilities of how they could interpret the situation differently. So I'm not telling them what to do per se, but kind of guiding them, suggesting them to move into a state that's more resourceful, not just for them, but for the people that they're actively communicating with and interacting with. And, these are relationships that are supposed to be important to us. So, again, when we want to see a change in the world around us, the best way to initiate that change is to be the energy, to be the example, to be the person that you want to attract. There was a poster that I saw. There's these motivational posters, successories, but then a friend of mine found these versions of it that are kind of like demotivational posters. I forget the name of the site. If I find it, I'll put it in the replay link. But anyhow, so they had this one that, the only common element between all the failed relationships in your life is you. So, it kind of makes us look back instead of judging others and saying, well, I didn't get along with them because of this, or they were like this, or they had this problem, they had that issue. Really what we're doing is we're judging ourselves. So if we can start to judge ourselves more kindly, and maybe even more importantly, start to see the good within yourself, the things that you do well, the way that you interact in the world, the things that you're doing for others. A lot of people that I've been meeting with over the last couple of days, they all express to me that they like to help people. So I'm always curious, okay, so what are you doing to help people? And more importantly, how is that helping you? Because if it's not helping them, then they're not really helping the other people. Because I believe that it's not being selfish, but it's it's a way of being mindful of yourself to help others to realize that you receive a benefit of it. There's no selfless act per se. If someone has an example, I'd love to hear it. But most people who do charitable acts, what are considered selfless acts, it makes them feel good about themselves. Hey, I did this wonderful thing for others, you know. So there's two stages in that. One is the person who just does it and feels good. But then there are people that do it and they boast about it. They're like, oh, do you know what I did? I donated to this charity. I did this. I did this favor for this person. I helped this old lady cross the street. You know, like they're kind of boasting about it because, you know, that's more of their ego asking for the recognition. So I'm not talking about doing this from the place of ego. I'm talking about doing it from a place of something that satisfies a part of you on a deeper level, that you can go to sleep at night feeling good about yourself and what you're doing, and judge yourself in a more positive light, so that when you do this, it reflects out on how you're interacting with the rest of the world around you. You know, if someone's upset, if they've had a bad day, if they've, you know, stressed out over, you know, life and money and relationships, and they're just, they're not coming with 100% of who they are, you know, they've barely got enough for themselves, yet alone to give to anyone else. So we can't expect that of them. But you know what? There's a lot of times, you know, our plate's full. We're feeling good. We did our meditation today. We listened to that song and we're in a good mood. We made money. We had some good food. You know, we have great friendships that we appreciate. We, you know, we say gratitude prayers, and we're just very mindful of everything around us. We appreciate the beautiful sunrise, the beautiful flowers, the beautiful place in the world where you live, the wonderful things in your life, your home, your surroundings, you're cool, you're dry, you're warm, whatever you need. We have it all. We have, you know, running water. We have clean water to the drink. You know, there's so many things to be grateful for, that there are people in the world that they don't have it. So when we have something and we see someone who's lacking, it's not necessarily about charity. It's not about doing something for someone that they could do for themselves, but it's really about you being the example of maybe showing people how they could be grateful for what they do have, you know, and to appreciate it. And, you know, the cliche is what you appreciate appreciates. So if people have, you know, people will tell me, you know, like sometimes, you know, I would coach people and they say, well, I just don't have enough money. And I said, well, great, but you need to appreciate the money that you do have. So I don't have any, I don't have a romantic partner right now. I said, great, but you need to appreciate the partners that you have had and what was good about that. And more importantly, especially with being the example, is, you know, I heard this quote years ago. It's to have a friend, be a friend. You know, so, you know, to have a romantic partner, be a romantic partner. If you want someone who's positive, who's motivated, who talks nicely, who does nice things, who's, um, you know, kind and caring and goes out of their way to do things for other people, then you be that, and you'll attract that into your life. You know, it's, and you could be very specific about it. I'm not going to get into a whole talk on law of attraction here, even though a couple of people that I know from law of attraction groups. But, you know, when you're the example, you know, then it's kind of, it's like the golden rule, right? You know, treat others how you would want to be treated. But that starts with treating yourself how you want others to treat you. And then they're going to see that, and that's going to reflect out from in how you treat other people just by that example. So when you're mindful of how you're coming across to the world, when you're mindful of how you feel about yourself, then you can be mindful of others, to stay present, to listen to the person, and to pay attention to the needs of people in the world around you. Like I said, I started off, people are stressed, even though things are opening up. There's some people. I went to my best friend, who's more like a brother to me than my actual brother, and I was there when his son was born, or not right there, but like within an hour of after he was actually born. And it's like I've watched him grow up, and he just graduated college, and he looks at me, I look at him, and I just walked up to him, I gave him a big hug, and he was like, oh, thank God. Neither one of us was wearing masks, and it's just like, people don't know what to do. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to react. And I'm like, if he's going to get me sick, then so be it. I'm not going to not hug this young man who's like a nephew to me, and just had a momentous time in his life, graduating college, and now he's on to bigger and better things. So I wouldn't have done it if he had backed off. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but I saw him lean into me, I leaned into him, and we were both smiling about it and happy that we did it. So the thing is, when you're mindful of people around you, then the rules are what you set up with them. There's being safe, there's being precautious, but there are also people that I met at that same graduation party that would not take off their masks, even though we were outdoors, except to like pull it back a little bit to put food in their mouth, especially the cake, which was good. Even though I didn't actually have the cake, but my daughter said it was really good. So, the thing is, I love T. Harv Eker. He says, you can't have your cake and eat it, but T. Harv Eker says, well, what the freak good is cake if you can't eat it? I want my cake and I want to eat it too, right? What's the point of having cake? So a lot of people, they don't feel deserving of it, and that's a judgment that we place on ourselves. So the thing is to be deserving of it. But my point with that whole graduation party is that, there were people there that even when the world goes to stage 0 and there's no more cases and all the rules are dropped, you don't have to wear a mask anywhere, they're still not going to go out of their house, and they're still not going to shake hands with anybody. They're certainly not going to hug them, and they're just going to be like overly paranoid and cautious about every little thing, to the point where it kind of negatively affects their life and kind of closes in on them and keeps them very limited in what they can and will do. And to me, that's a shame. So, when I run into someone like that, being respectful, but also being mindful, I'm going to be the example, right? Like I wasn't going to not hug my nephew for his graduation. I'm going to call him my nephew because he is. So I wasn't going to not do that. And even in doing that, that's my example. Hey, look, I did that and I didn't die. I didn't get sick. I'm fine. He's fine, and we both knew that was the case. So, it's that level of certainty that you're healthy, you've got a strong immune system. If you're not, be mindful of that. Don't put yourself in a compromising situation. If you think that someone, has been exposed to, whatever, then, don't put yourself in harm's way. I'm not professing that at all. But the thing is to be mindful of your own inner rules that comply with the world's outer rules, but to be the best example that you can be, to shine, right? So this is our opportunity, because if everyone's lying down and one person just lifts their head up a little bit, they stand out above the crowd. So this is your opportunity. A lot of people, one of my daughters doesn't like to stand out in the crowd. She likes to kind of blend in the background. And ironically, she made more friends this year than probably any other time in her life in just a very short period of time that she was in school this year. And yet, she tells me that she's kind of shy and she likes to be more in the background and not stand out and not bring attention to herself. So, but in going out there and doing things and being bold and being who she is, um, the other day, she borrowed her brother's skateboard and she's like, "Can I use it?" And he's like, "Sure." So she took it. She's been riding. She's been teaching herself. And now she called me a little while ago. She's at the skate park with a bunch of her friends and they're all having a blast. So she put herself out there. She took the risk. She learned how to skateboard. Sure, she fell a couple of times, but she's not going to sit home in her room watching TikTok all day like a lot of her friends. She's going to go out there. She's going to skateboard. She's going to go around. She's going to exercise. She's going to actively look for people that are out and about and be the example of someone who is out and about and doing things and doing fun things. And, so even to be cautious, to be mindful of others, to keep social distancing, that can all be done very easily while skateboarding together in a skate park. And, again, it's about you finding the area of your life where you shine. It's one of my words for the year. It's actually been one of my words for the last 4 years or more. And, to me, here's my interpretation. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. My interpretation of shine is when you are doing something that's really at the core essence of who you are. It's like anyone could look at you, observe you, even judge you, and their judgment, their evaluation, what they would say about you is that there is nothing that they can imagine you doing right now other than what you're doing right now. And that's shining, right? Because you shine, you're authentic, you're true to yourself. That's where you have your highest level of confidence in what you're doing. And that level of confidence, comes from that level of certainty, right? That you're creating by the choices that you make. So, life is choice. You make good choices, you live a good life. Life is choice. You make great choices, you live a great life. Life is choice. You're mindful of your choices, you live a mindful life. Life is choice, and you make choices about the present moment now. You live in the present moment now. And this is what we can affect. And the biggest way that we can affect the world around us is to be an example. One of the parts of my meditation in the morning is that I'm very happy and I'm very grateful to be a positive influence on others to become a better version of themselves. So that's why I'm doing this tonight, right? My outcome for you tonight is that after going through this, after listening to this little pre-talk and then going through the meditation, is that at the end of this, or even any part during this, is that I influence you to become a better version of yourself. And then you take that better version of yourself out into the world and pay it forward. Influence other people to be better versions of themselves. And what's the net outcome of that? Is that we make the world a better place. One person at a time, one word at a time. Say something nice to someone. Go out of your way to do a nice gesture for someone. And you'll see that really what you're doing is a reflection of being kind to yourself, of being mindful of how you act in the world. And if you're not sure how you come across, ask a good friend how you come across. And if they're really a good friend, they'll give you some really good feedback. And hopefully there's not a whole lot of adjusting that you need to do. But if there is, that's good news too, because then you've just discovered an area from what I call window number 3, which is things that other people can observe about you that you might not have known about yourself. So it's an area that you can grow and be better. Uh, Believe it or not, what was it, 1996, way back in 1996, I sucked at public speaking. When I say suck, I mean like really bad. Actually, let me rephrase it. In 94, I was really, really bad. By 96, I was doing it, but still not so good. So I took my trainer's training to learn how to really present and to teach, specifically the field of neurolinguistic programming, which is another form of hypnosis, so to say. It's like what Anthony Robbins uses, Dean Graciosi, Brendan Burchard, T. Harv Eker, you know, any of those people that you see out there in the personal development field, Brian Tracy, a lot of them are all, they're not saying that they're doing NLP, but they're all using NLP. They're all highly trained in NLP, and it comes from Richard Bandler and John Grinder. And I took a class with Wyatt Woodsmall, who actually personally trained Tony Robbins. So I've made it a point to study with the best of the best. And, you know, when I was studying with Wyatt Woodsmall, you know, it really came out of how to be aware of what you're doing and to learn to pay attention to feedback from the world around you. So we had a practice for our first presentation. It was a 45-minute presentation. We had groups of, I think it was 3 people. And then there was one person that was kind of like a master trainer that would come around and evaluate our different groups. And this was after hours. I mean, we were going like 16, 18-hour days easily. And we'd start at 7 in the morning and end, you know, somewhere around midnight to 2 in the morning, and then start again 7 a.m. the next day. So we were doing all kinds of crazy hours, but we'd each go through 3 45-minute presentations. And this young kid in my group is just sitting there with a notepad. And I'm thinking, you know, he's taking notes to give me some good feedback at the end. And I just see him like doing these like little like tick, 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 tick. And it's driving me nuts because I have no idea what he's doing. He's not writing. He's just making tick marks with the pencil. And I'm thinking like, maybe he's doodling. He's not really paying attention, or maybe it's just his way of like, you know, instead of being ADD, he's distracting himself by doing that physical movement so that he could pay attention to me. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. So at the end of my 45-minute talk, he asked me, do I have any idea how many times I said, And I was like, I wasn't aware of saying it even once. And he's like, really? He says, well, in the first 5 minutes of your 45-minute talk, I have 150 tick marks. And I'm like, whoa. I wasn't even aware of it. And there was 100, and it, you know, to him and to a lot of people, and if you've ever done anything with Toastmasters, you understand what it is. When you become mindful of people that are not well trained in speaking, and they use a lot of ums and ahs and you know, what we call verbal pauses. When they're not trained, when they're not mindful of that, it becomes very distracting. I've seen a lot of people, even on TV, you know, so-called polished professional speakers, and you can hear all the ums and the ahs and the verbal pauses and all that stuff. And so the whole point was that I had no clue. This was totally window number 3 for me. It was something that this other person could see in me, so obvious. And I had no clue because I wasn't tracking for it. So he gave me the feedback, right? Which I took as thank you, right? I wasn't aware of it. Now I am. Now I can do something about it. And I want to be a good presenter, not an annoying presenter. So hopefully that's the feedback that you're getting tonight is that, you know, that I'm not totally sucking, and, you know, that this is good, this is valuable to you, and I will ideally influence you to become a better version of yourself and to discover things about yourself that you might not have been paying attention to before this tonight. So here's the thing. So the next night we had to practice again. So there he is with his paper and his pencil ready to start with the tick marks. In 45 minutes, I had 3 ums in the whole 45-minute talk, whereas the night before I had 150 in the first 5 minutes. So I think I significantly cut back on the amount of ums. So the thing is that when you become aware of it, it's not a bad thing. It's not, okay, this other person wasn't judging me. He was giving me feedback on what I was doing that could have a negative impact on my ability to influence people when I'm speaking and training. And I took that to heart. I made an instant adjustment, and it hasn't been a problem since. I mean, I've spoken at Toastmasters and gone a whole meeting and not had one And the funniest thing is, like, when someone kind of directs your attention to the so the person who does the counting, right? There's actually, in a Toastmasters meeting, there's actually a person who counts anyone who says or ah or any kind of verbal pause during the whole meeting. They track everyone, especially when they're up there presenting in front of the group or commenting even on someone who did present in the group. So any public talking is tracked, how many ums and ahs they have. So I've gone whole like hour-and-a-half meetings without any or ah in any of the comments that I gave. But almost every meeting that I've ever been to with Toastmasters, the and the ah counter, always, in reading off how many ums and ahs people have, has at least 1 or 2 ums and ahs of their own while they're doing it, because that's what they're being mindful of. Where attention goes, energy flows, right? And it's so true. We don't even realize it. It's not a conscious thing, okay? And that's why when you put your energy and your attention on being the good, positive example to the world around you. So if there is uncertainty in the world around you, be certain about that uncertainty so that you can lead other people to a new level of certainty. If you're certain about anything, be certain about who you are and what you stand for and what's important to you and what you value in this world, and be that example to other people, and let them become aware of how they were judging themselves and kind of pulling themselves down and creating a level of uncertainty in their lives. And through your certainty, you inspire them to find that within themselves. So that's really what this is about tonight, is to be inspired, to be mindful, to be aware, to pay attention to yourself and how you feel, especially at any given moment when others are around you. You've got an opportunity to teach them by your example. Without saying a word to them or about them, you become that shining example. You become so authentic to who you are. You step it up, right? That it will just, as a result of doing that, you will inspire others. I challenge you to go out over the next week and do this and not have a positive impact on other people. It's impossible to do this and not have a positive impact. And, pay attention. Pay attention to how people around you act or react, okay, when you've kind of stepped it up a little bit, when you're mindful of how you're acting and you increase your level of certainty, even if it's unjustified, when you put the attention to it. Where attention goes, energy flows. So if you're certain, hey, that extra money's coming in, it will, right? Because you're putting your attention on it, you're putting your energy into it, and you're attracting it into your life. If you're looking for that relationship, you put your attention on it, you put your energy into it, and you attract it into your life. And the thing is to enjoy the process and to feel good about it the whole way. So one of my favorite things to say is, is that, a lot of people say, oh, well, when I get this, then I'll be happy. When I'm doing that, then I'll be set. When this happens, then I'll be like this. But the whole thing is that it's not about that kind of destination. It's about making the journey to get there, the destination. So then you're always there, because we're always on the journey and we're always making it happen. And this way you can enjoy the process. You don't have to wait till someday, some way, somehow, then you'll be happy. You could be happy right here, right now, like the video at the beginning of this, right? Time is running, right? The clocks are going, and it's not stopping for you or anyone. Doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how much power you have, doesn't matter. It's going, right? And we've only got a certain amount of time, and there's no guarantees. So you've got right here, you've got right now, and you've got the opportunity to make the most of being the best possible example that you can to anyone and everyone around you. And that's really what this is about tonight. I'm going to set up the music. You can get comfortable. If you have headphones, you can put on your headphones. Sit back in your chair. I see, other than Craig and myself, everyone already has their video turned off. So that's good. If you don't want to be seen with your head kind of leaning to the side and the drool coming, no. Get my volume set so I didn't blast everybody out here. I'm not showing that number. God, they make this so hard to set it to the exact. Okay, we'll just leave it there and see how it goes. So this is your time. Your time to really be in tune with yourself, to be present right here, right now, listening to the sound of my voice, guiding you perhaps into a state of awareness that up until I mentioned it, you might not have been aware of your breathing in or out. You might not have been paying attention to the temperature of the air on your skin, or maybe you are. Or maybe you just are now, right here. Mindful of your surroundings. If your eyes are open, you can see things in front of you. You can hear the sound of the music and the sound of my voice. And if you really pay attention, it might begin to sound like your own inner voice. And it might begin to guide you into an even deeper state of relaxation in a way that you can recognize if you've ever meditated before or relaxed or even been in a trance. Take a moment and remember, or just imagine what that would feel like. Especially if you thought about the aspects of how you might go to a deeper, more resourceful state than perhaps ever before. This moment is yours to recognize that even in the languaging of how I'm talking to you, it's obviously not directed for your conscious thoughts, other than to distract your conscious awareness and to really begin to more fully engage the other than conscious part of your mind is waking up and paying attention to the way that I'm guiding you into a more resourceful state for you to realize, perhaps for the first time in a while, to interpret the world around you with real eyes. Real eyes. Real eyes to be able to see deep within yourself. And you may find that your eyes gently close as you take a nice deep breath. Or even as you exhale, just allowing yourself to relax even deeper and deeper. That's right. Into a wonderful, peaceful, happy place for you. This is your time. This time is just for you to be in tune with yourself. You've closed your eyes, and in doing so, you might have, in a sense, closed off your connection to the world around you for a moment, so that you can connect more deeply with that part of yourself. Then in a while, when you open your eyes, will connect more deeply with the world around you as a result of having gone through this process of awareness, or perhaps even in some ways noticing that you're able to just let go of awareness of some things, to let go of control of some things, to let go of trying to control, so that you can be, so that you can be, so that you can simply be right here, right now, in the moment, aware, or perhaps even outside of your awareness. The opportunities are coming to you, guiding you to guide yourself, kind of of like an inner spirit guide that you connect this part of yourself and the part of the world around you, and perhaps even some part of a universal consciousness that exists outside of you and deep within you is a level of other than conscious thought that you can think about without any effort of thought, or even how you might let go of awareness to totally trust in this process of relaxing your body, of relaxing your mind, of clearing your thoughts, maybe to become aware of your breathing, grounding yourself within this awareness, to imagine that when you fully opened yourself to explore, being open to the feedback of the world around you, that you have certain ideas about how you want to be perceived in the world around you. And there's a certain way that people in the world around you at first observe you and possibly judge you in the same way that you observe others and judge others. And the reality is quite simple, that there's really only one person that anyone is ever judging, and that's yourself. And that's a choice. So you can perhaps choose to do that, or you can choose to interpret yourself in a more positive light, to live into being a better version of yourself, more authentic, in a way that you can begin to shine. And as you shine, you realize that most people in this world are attracted to shiny things. And this will attract people into your life that appreciate the exact level at which you shine, the exact way in which you shine. And you become the example. You inspire them. You lead them to shine themselves. Not in the same way that you do, but in the best way that they can. By your example of shining in the best way that you can. By being the example is part of how you shine the light on the world around you. You can see your light reflecting off the people that you influence in the same way that the sunlight reflects off the clouds and refracts through the moisture and creates beautiful colors that you can appreciate even more deeply in that moment, who you are and the world around you just seems to look, sound, and feel better, aren't you? Happy. When you see beautiful things in the world around you, it inspires your creativity. It inspires your gratitude. It simply inspires all of you to be grateful. And it's in those moments that perhaps it's easier to be grateful. And yet it's still a wonderful thing anytime you are grateful and mindful of being the example. So again, the first person that you influence is yourself. Simply begin. Relax into a deeper state of being more authentically, confidently, certainly yourself. And this will reflect in the world around you, how others are seeing you, and you live into it. Naturally and enjoyably, effortlessly inspiring people. But just take a moment and think about the impression that you want to leave upon others. Because it's not just children that are impressionable. We're all impressionable. What does that mean to leave an impression? If you took a piece of clay and you took an object and left an impression in the clay, it stays with it. It molds it, it shapes it. It then affects how that appears to the rest of the world. Because it might have just been a moment in time that you made that impression. And it can have long-lasting effects. The wonderful things that you do, that you feel good about, that leave an impression upon others, expand. As you and these other people pay it forward, as you shine, you spread the light and inspire others to shine and spread more light in the world. In realizing that only spreading light can remove the darkness. And inspire others to do the same. To spread the light to those dark places in the world. To bring light to those dark situations in the world. To brighten up else's life and bring a smile to their face. To bring a smile to your own face. To feel good about who you are, living your life right here, right now. Relaxing in your body. Relaxing in your mind. Relaxing your awareness. To be inspired. Spirit from within. That inner spirit guide. Outwardly expressed upon others. Not so much to impress others as to leave the best possible impression on others. Inasmuch as you are the best possible example. Aren't you? Thinking about ways that you can. Now, I'm not sure which area of your life might be most important. But going through the philosophy of relax, envision, and succeed, well, I would certainly hope that by now you're plenty relaxed. And you may have already started envisioning how you can be the example to inspire others. Maybe it's in the way that you take care of your health. Maybe it's in the way that you manage your finances, or the way that you're generous, or the things you donate time or money to. Maybe it's in the success of your career or your business, your work ethic. Maybe it's in your relationship with friends and family, and people are inspired in how they see you care and treat others. Maybe it's in the wonderful romantic relationships that you have, that you inspire others to seek out, find that kind of romance. Maybe you inspire people with a very deep and profound spiritual connection with a higher power, with the world around you, with the environment, with the universe. Or maybe it's just how you seem to have a wonderful balance of taking time to have fun and recreate yourself. Take vacations, go to wonderful places, do fun things, invite others to join you, to make life fun, to take time to enjoy things, to take time off. So instead of always being on and productive, sometimes the most productive thing is to take time off, sharpen the saw, inspire others that they can get more done by taking a fun break and enjoying life. Or maybe it's simply how you take care of your physical environment, your home. That people can tell you live exactly where you want to live. That it's the exact style that you want to live in. That it's neat. Everything has a place and a purpose. Not according to anyone other than you, but according to you. And then you really have all these things in place of how to inspire others by your example. But really, the biggest step is the actions you take. Long before I had kids, someone told me that your kids don't hear a thing you say. They watch you. So it's the doing. It's the things you do, the actions you take that lead to success in all those areas. The actions you take that other people can see you being the example. They're inspired by your actions. And that feeds back to you as the realization of how and where and when you're inspiring others through your example. And even just this should make you feel good about yourself. About creating a world to which you want to belong. About being an example of creating a world to which others are inspired to belong. Not so much to follow your exact actions, but to follow the energy of action in any or all areas of their life, simply based upon your example and your opportunity. Right here. Right now is your time to even more fully express in a way that inspires from within. To the outside world around you. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach the number 5, you can open your eyes and be fully awake and fully alert and fully aware of this inspiration coming from deep within to be the most positive example to the world around you, that if there's anything good in your life, you want to share it with others who are near and dear to you. You want to pay it forward. If there's something you enjoy doing, talk about it. Tell people about it. Share it with the world around you. If there's tools and techniques and ways that you have of creating certainty in your life, pay it forward. Share it with other people. Inspire them to use these tools consistently, easily, naturally, enjoyably, happily, being present. One, become aware of yourself and how you feel right here, right now, enjoying this present that you give to yourself. Two, inspire yourself so that you can inspire others to become an even better version of who you truly are, becoming an even better version of who you truly are, setting the example for others to become an even better version of who they truly are. Three, noticing any movements in your body, a shift in your breathing, a shift in your awareness as you awaken yourself to the world around you, to open your spirit, to open your mind, to think about the possibilities of spreading an important message to the people in the world around you, even if you don't speak a word about it. 4, taking a nice deep breath and holding it for a moment. And then as you exhale, just be mindful of your breathing. Staying present, staying aware in your physical body, in your mind, connecting to yourself, connecting to the world around you. Feel your energy growing, feel your energy expanding, feel that light inside of you beginning to shine in such a way that people can experience it with not just 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4 of their senses awakening to this reality. But when you're to fully shine, to be the example, to be an even better version of yourself, right here, right now, being the example. Then and only then can you now open your eyes with all 5 of your senses fully awake, fully alert, and fully aware of just how great you feel to shine the light of your soul. And see it in the reflection of the faces around you as you brighten up moments of their day. So, I welcome you back.
Yes.
Ed, is that where you went, Ed?
I was in space. Floating the hemispheres. Towers above of peace.
Yeah.
Peace and love and serenity.
So, yeah, I totally made that up on the fly tonight.
I liked it.
But I felt inspired. I've been, listening to a lot of cool things, experiencing a lot of cool people, my teachers, and sometimes my clients, my students are my best teachers. So my superpower is, I've learned how to listen, and not just to what people are actually saying, but to kind of what's going on in between. So questions, comments, feedback of any kind.
I gotta say the music definitely works for me.
Yeah. That's my buddy Topher.
Yes.
He was my
Mentor.
my first real trainer of hypnosis. Yeah. From directly from the American Institute of Hypnotherapy, the American Board of Hypnotherapy. And his name is very interesting, but it came about in a funny way. It's, his name is Christopher. And, usually people call someone Christopher. If they want to shorten it, they just call him Chris. But at the time when he was working for the American Board of Hypnotherapy, there were already two people there named Chris, and it was confusing enough. So they're like, you can't use Chris. So he goes, well, what's left? The only thing that's left is Topher. So he became Topher. So, and he's actually, for some strange reason, politically inspired nowadays to become the mayor of Tampa. I still don't know if I get that 100%. For a while, he was living in San Diego. I thought that was cool, but he's back in Tampa, running for mayor, last I heard. So, anyone else? Question, comments, concern, things you liked, things you want more of, things you want less of, things you want differently? Anyone feel inspired to go out and be some sort of positive example to the world around them in a specific way?
Yes.
Absolutely. I thought that was so good tonight. Oh my gosh.
Yes. I think you picked them pretty perfect, Mark. I tell you that every week. It's like perfect for that week.
Exactly. I feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, I get bits and pieces of things from my mentors. And, a lot of people have been talking about, judgment in the world nowadays. And I always look at it that what is that judgment? We're judging ourselves, right? So, it shows up, in the world around us that people don't realize that we're judging ourselves. It seems more like we're judging them, but it's really a reflection or a projection of how we judge ourselves. So that's kind of inspired me. And then I'm like, okay, well, what do we do about it? You got to change, but you can't expect the world around you to change. We got to be the example. So, each week with this, I've kind of just picked a subject like that, and then take all the skills and the knowledge and the thousands of things I've studied over the years, and just do my best to project that for you. Anyone else? Questions, comments, things I need to know?
Really enjoyed the music, Mark. Thank you. Really good, very good set tonight. Very nice.
Yeah. Glad you're here, Michael.
Thanks, Mark. Glad to be here. Thank you again.
Yeah, I know you reach out to me for the replays, and I haven't. There's a couple of them I haven't sent out, but I don't know. For a while, it felt like everybody was waiting for the replay rather than showing up for the live meditation. And I mean, I could make plenty of recordings and just send them out to people, but really what helps me is for people to be here. It validates the purpose of this. So I appreciate you being here. Appreciate all of you being here. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
I look forward to doing it in person again, hopefully soon.
Yeah. Okay, so the world's reopening.
Thank God for that.
Wednesday nails, can't wait.
I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. I can't tell you how excited I am to get a haircut tomorrow.
I got my haircut today, and it was a thrill.
Yeah.
Getting a haircut and mani-pedi next week. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Right? I have mine is scheduled in 2 weeks. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, you know, it almost seems strange, you know, it's like for our whole life, we did all these things. And then for what? Maybe almost about 3 months, right?
More than 3 months.
I went to the dentist last week and I had to make sure that I gargled with the Listerine and washed my hands and put on the gloves. And they took my temperature before the dentist would look at me. And he was wearing the whole hazmat suit and everything.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Ay, carambas. Mark, I would have cut your hair for you.
I'm sorry, you'll cut my hair?
I would have cut your hair.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying I'm any good at it, but I would have cut it for you.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Styling and
Now you
profiling.
tell me.
Styling and profiling. That hat's going to feel some pressure relief.
Yeah. I won't have to wear the hat as much.
Exactly.
I'm getting hats made, and everyone's going to have the opportunity to get one that's going to say the personal mind trainer on it.
Oh, I need one of those.
Is that what that says? What does it say? What does it say in the hat?
It says Pro Mark, you know.
Oh, okay, nice. All right.
So, I'm no amateur. But every once in a while, I meet someone who knows what the hat really is about.
Nice.
So, yeah, I was in the bank one time, and the guy's like, "Oh, you play drums?" I'm like, "Yep." And then he looks at my statement. He goes, "Oh, that's so funny. Your name's Mark."
That's pretty funny.
Okay, so we got another couple minutes, and we're gonna wrap it up. Anyone else? Any comments, questions?
No, I gotta go, guys. Good night.
Okay, have a great
Good
night.
night.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Okay, be well. Okay, so we'll wrap it up and let everybody get going and be the example. That's the best thing I can tell you. Be the example. Be the most positive example you can be. The world around you needs you more than you might realize. And you may find out how you inspired someone. You may never find it out, but do it anyhow. Be well.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate you all.
We appreciate you.
Okay, have a great night.
You too.
You too,
Good
Mark.
night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Hi, Carol. Bye.
Bye.